How's it going, listeners? I am the man known as Danty, and you're listening to the MMAMotion podcast, part of the home for MMA fanatics, MMAMotion.net. Joining me today to talk about everything MMA is Eamonn Scott, writer at MMAMotion.net. Hope you enjoy. All right, so let's talk about the UFC 225 recap. So Romero v. Whitaker, I did like the action that was really involved in it, and they were going back and forth, the knockdowns and the strategy with Whitaker, which was a stark contrast to how he faced Romero in the last one, and the split decision victory was quite interesting. Everything I thought about the fight as opposed to the decision victory, where I thought the knockdowns would be counted much more, was okay with me. The only thing that I didn't like was Yoel Romero talking about how the commission kind of prevented him from making the full weight when it was found out, I believe it was on Joe Rogan's show, his podcast, that he had hired a nutritionist 1 month in advance, when I think he could have done it 3 months in advance, just because as someone who is athletic and tries to work out myself, I understand that when it comes to losing weight, it has to be a long process. So doing it immediately, and I don't want to be too high and mighty because of how UFC fighters and MMA fighters go through their weight cuts. I would like to see a better sense of respect when it comes to the way fighters do weight cutting, or at least handle their nutrition. I remember Michael Chiesa talk about how there shouldn't be any kind of weight cutting at all. There should be new weight classes and all that. But I'm rambling too much. What did you like about the Romero v. Whitaker stuff?
In regards to the weight cut, I agree with you in regards to Romero hiring George Lockhart. I do agree that he should have hired him a lot earlier. If he had, he probably could have waited. So, from that point of view, it's basically his own fault that he didn't make the weight, or at least you have to assume that it's his own fault. It's good that the fight did go ahead. So, fair play to Whitaker for accepting the fight anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like a Wonderboy Thompson, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, just accepting the fight because of his duty as a fighter and as an entertainer. And I'm happy to see that there are fans that respect that.
And also, just to chip in there, I think Whitaker did get the 20% extra, but on top of that, he also got Romero's $50,000 bonus for the fight of the night, so he ended up with $120,000 because of Romero. That was $100,000 for the fight of the night and the 70 from the weight cut money. So he ended up with a lot of extra money.
Yeah. Oh, good for him. Yeah, definitely. So there's always the upside to taking a fight. So so now that that ship has sailed, I would like to see where it goes from here. Romero, I wonder if Romero is gonna fancy the 205-pound division, face Gustafsson at some point, maybe, or face someone else in the heavyweight division, in the light heavyweight division, just to get his feet wet. And as for Whitaker, I would like to see him face Kelvin Gastelum, since they're just premier strikers, and I would like to see that happen. Just the two young guns fighting against each other. What do you think?
In regards to Whitaker, I do think Gastelum, I think that's the fight that makes sense in the middleweight division. People mention Chris Weidman, but I don't think he has uh, streak at the minute to be in there challenging for the title. I think fresh blood with Gosling was against Robert Whittaker, two young fighters, and
Yeah,
it'd be a
definitely.
great fight, especially standing up with there being himself, I imagine. And for Romero, 205 is the only way to go. He's had two title fights with middleweight. It hasn't worked out. He's weight. I think he needs that fresh start at 205, a bit of motivation in career before he retires. So I think say go five
Hmm.
Romero.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting that the middleweights are starting to go back, starting to decide to go up to 205 with Luke Rockhold and Chris Weidman. Yeah, yeah, Chris Weidman was fancying the 205 division, although I I fear, yeah, I start to fear of what would become of Chris Weidman if he does take on that endeavor, considering the competition there. I mean, there is Daniel Cormier and Gustafson, but I oh yeah, and Volkan. So oh yeah, and Elir Latifi.
Yeah,
I'm just
good names coming up in a minute. Latifi's
yeah,
good.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, I just wonder how the veterans are gonna fare against them. Oh yeah, and Oven St. Preux, John Jones. I mean, there's a lot of interesting people there, but like a good amount of them are out of commission at the moment. So yeah, it's a little bit shaky. So with that, also with all that said, Overeem versus Blades. Now I'm really glad that I'm glad to see this match go because it's it's one uh, just from a business perspective and a fighting perspective because I I like what the UFC is doing in pushing young fighters, especially with as a even as an FS1 main event. And from the business perspective, putting it on FS1 so that more eyes can see like the glory of what the UFC has to offer, and showing not only up and comers and a lot of newbie fights, or I guess what not a lot of unknown fighters, even in the main event, or even low top 10 fighters like in number 9 or 8. You can see really premier fighters going against each other in the main event, and this is in FS1. So I can see how this is like a good push, and to see Curtis Blades win it, it's just all the better. So it can move forward the storyline. So what do you think?
I pretty much agree with what you were saying about Blades. It's good that he did get that FS1 main event. People were saying it's a disgrace that CM Punk is getting on the pay-per-view card over him and Blades, but
Yeah.
I think it's a good platform for a young fighter like to catch more eyes. Um, I think Blades could be champion in the future. I think he has the best takedowns in the division. Um, Cormier, I suppose, has came to heavyweight, but I wouldn't really count that. Um, I think Blades did make a case for the next title shot, although a rematch with Ngannou, if he beats Lewis, would be a very, very interesting match.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and yeah, and I hear that I would have to look into it myself because I recall them trying to put Blades against someone else. Oh yeah, Blades against Volkov for the Moscow card. Um, I just want to be sure that that I have that one right because I mean it's just another case of putting young guns against each other, and I would like to see Volkov get pushed more because even though he hasn't got a lot of fights, I would like to see him fight a little bit more. Uh, and and I think he has a lot of potential to be like a really stellar champion. Yeah, it's from Brett Okamoto. Um,
Yeah.
uh, UFC is interested in doing Blades versus Alexander Volkov on September 15th in Moscow. So yeah, it's that's a pretty interesting thing. So that's an interesting future matchup. So what do you think of that?
Honestly, I think that would probably make the most sense. I was listening to a post-fight interview that Curtis Blades done, he said that he wouldn't want the fight with Cobus ranked below him. He says if he did not get the title fight, the only fight that makes sense it's the family rematch. But as a fan, I would like to see the full Cole fight.
Yeah. Hmm. Oh, a lot of good fights going on. It's quite promising. So, yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of overshadowed by the wave of controversy that the pay-per-view fights have garnered, especially with the split decision victory with Carl Esparza and Claudia Cadea, and I guess, the surprising turn of events, well, although not surprising to some, of Covington versus Dos Anjos. So you can see just sheer dominance coming from Covington's attack methods in his match, and RDA was unable to, I guess, get his game going. At least not as long as he wanted. What do you think?
I wasn't surprised at all about Covington's performance. I've always known that he's been a really, really, really high-level wrestler with incredible cardio. It was just a matter of does he have that mentality to go into a title fight and do it. So it was good, to see that he does have that championship mentality also. So it was a great performance. I did pick RDA myself, but I wasn't shocked at all that Covington won that fight.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so yeah, he had definitely made a believer out of me, which is why it kind of intrigues me to think about how would he fare against I guess the championship checklist, the championship list, like Tyron Woodley. I wonder where GSP is going to go into the mix. Yeah, because he has to heal up a little bit before he does anything. And now for Tyron Woodley, he has a history of spectacular takedown defenses, but I just wonder how well his cardio will hold up against Covington's just sheer pressure game.
Yeah, I agree. I think the cardio would play the biggest factor. Even if Covington doesn't get those takedowns, it's all he has to do really is just hold the control against defense and tire him out. So I think that would be a big factor of the cardio.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and also we have to watch out for Tyron Woodley's one-shot power. But I just wonder, how he'll be able to utilize that, considering Covington's wrestling, because even though he's a chaotic wrestler, hence his ring name, he has to understand that he has to be extra careful with that kind of power. He can't just do what he did with Maya or Dos Anjos and just go tit for tat. So that'll be a different. Definitely a challenge for both fighters.
Definitely, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. Now for Claudia Cadea and Esparza, I was following it pretty well. Although I do know that Claudia Cadea and Carla Esparza are highly renowned fighters in their division. I mean, Esparza was a former champion. Claudia Cadea is a spectacular fighter, and to see this, to see the back and forth going in is pretty spectacular. But I was looking at the split. Yeah, I was looking at the split decision victory, and I don't know what to make heads or tails of it. Mostly because, from my perspective, it could have gone either way. But how did you see the fight?
Here's the first thing I'm gonna say: the word robbery. Way too much. It's a close decision. It could have went the other way. Just agree with it. It's a robbery. First thing I have to say on that. Second,
could you a little bit closer to your mouth?
Did you get that first bit about the robbery? Yeah.
Just a little. It's a little chopped up, but if you just keep it at that level, it's perfect.
I was basically saying it's people overuse the word robbery too much these days. It was a close fight that could have went either way.
Yeah.
Just because you disagree with the decision does not mean it's a robbery. That's basically what I had to say on that. And in terms of the fight, it was the first round that basically was the decider. The second round went to Gedalia. Third round went to Esparza. I think that's how it went. In terms of the first round, it was a close round. It honestly could have went either way. I had it going 2-1 for Gedalia, and it basically comes down to it reminds me of the Bisping Henderson fight, the second one. The first round and the second round, especially the second round, Henderson got the knockdown in the second, but apart from that, Bisping dominated the entire round, and it's kind of the same here. Gedalia dominated the entire round, but Esparza caused the most damage with the knockdown. So it really depends on how you look at it. It could have went either way. I don't think it was a robbery at all. It really just depends on your own opinion, basically.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, it's definitely a pickle. Yeah, just the way the system of judging is nowadays. Yeah, these decision victories are really impactful on the rankings. So I would like to see I guess how it either improves or how the the picking of judges changes, or if at all, for that matter. But maybe it's just a pipe dream. Now for the matchmaking. Let's see. Oh, for what would be next for Claudia? Oh, Claudia. I mean, I think this would move her up a little bit, or I guess get at least get a few eyes on her. So, let's see. Who do you think would be a good matchup for her going forward?
For Gedalia, that's an interesting one. Possibly Carolina. I suppose they just fought and Gedalia won pretty convincingly.
Yeah.
There's not really a whole lot of names in there, you know.
Yeah.
Suarez, Keisha Torres, but she's fighting Joanna. It's
Yeah.
a lot of names are booked up at the minute.
Yeah.
Maybe Tatiana Suarez for Gedalia, but again, it's who knows. You know, a lot of names are booked up at this point.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. It's an unfortunate turn of events where it's not just in the strawweight division, but in any fighter in any division that you can think of. If you don't know their name, it's mostly because it's sometimes because they either haven't done enough fights, or they don't promote themselves to a level that people in the rankings do. So it's kind of like a mix of both, and yeah, sometimes it is what it is, and you can't find a lot of people or think of a person to make matchups for that people want to see. Although we would like to see them, because I mean we're MMA fans ourselves, despite it being our job. Well, we're also MMA fans. We would like to see fighters go at it, no matter who they are. So it's just yeah, it's just an unfortunate circumstance that you have to I guess put yourself out there in order to get eyes on you, instead of kind of the other way around.
Yeah, I agree. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. All right, so now last but certainly not least, CM Punk versus Mike Jackson. A real premier fight, this one. Oh boy. I would say about this, I do not regret rooting for Punk. I'll admit it, I was rooting for Punk there, only because it would be a good story, but just the way just the way it went through all those 3 rounds, it was a tad painful. So I don't know what will be next for CM Punk, matchmaking wise or career wise. I did see in his Twitter that he was kind of upbeat about it, so there's that. Maybe we'll see him again in Fight Pass or whatever. So I don't know what plans they have for him. What do you think?
Um, I also backed CM Punk, and I don't regret it at all. Because, as you said, it made for an interesting fight. And people are giving them a lot of, you know, they're giving them a hard time, but I could see improvements. Even though his first fight was pretty short, I could see that there was some things that he looked good at. His grappling looked decent enough. Um, and as people mention, it's only a second fight. Like Mike Jackson has probably been fighting since he was a kid in terms of boxing and amateur fights. So CM Punk has only had two fights period in his whole career.
Yeah.
So you have to have respect in that department.
Right.
In terms of what's next for CM Punk, yeah, I think the UFC's done with him completely.
Yeah.
But he said that he wants to keep continuing to fight, whether Bellator picks him up or somewhere else picks him up.
Yeah.
It's another story, but I think we will see CM Punk fighting again in MMA.
Yeah, just for curiosity, I'll follow him too, just to see where he goes, and hopefully he gets better. So, yeah. All right, so let's talk about let's see. Well, what was interesting about what transpired today was Conor McGregor finally heading to court just to do a small hearing, a court case, and this is from the Independent. Let's see if I can get it up here. There we go. There we go. So yeah, it was interesting to finally see, I guess, what'll be part one of many parts to see what happens to Conor McGregor. And it says, according to this article on the Independent, that, let's see, oh yeah, it was from TMZ. They talked about if he's counted for seven counts of assault, and if he is found guilty on all counts, he could face up to 7 years in prison. So, but that's just from TMZ. From what Independent says, smoothly dismissed. Resume and others. Doesn't say here, but from, I guess, the brief talking about he was regretting his actions that led to today, and he understood the seriousness of the matter, and hopeful this will get worked out. Although I don't know how it's going to be worked out from this point on, because it was pretty bad what happened to him, and what he did to the fighters at UFC 223 too. What was the Tony Ferguson and Khabib card?
I think it might have been.
Say again. The mic's a little
223. 223 it was.
223. Okay. So yeah. So it's man, I don't know how it's going to be worked out in his favor. He's got to take a lick somehow, and New York doesn't play. I mean, New York is pretty. New York City is pretty rough with this kind of stuff, especially with a fighter this statue. I don't think they'll pull any punches just because he's a celebrity, or nor any kind of a criminal justice system. So, so what do you think about the whole spectacle of his court case?
First of all, I can't see him getting a prison sentence. I just can't see it. I think lawyers are too good. I can't see a situation where it goes to prison. We could see maybe a suspended sentence, but I can't see McGregor going to prison. I think he'll get a hefty fine. Obviously, the fighters who he injured will sue him. He'll lose a lot of money from that.
Oh yeah.
But I can't see him going to prison. Today, I think the most interesting takeaway was the apology he done outside the court.
Right.
It shows I don't know, maybe a weaker side to him. You know, it's the first time we've properly seen McGregor apologize in a like a professional statement. So I thought that was very interesting.
Mm. Oh yeah, definitely. Uh, yeah, he's not one to shy from an apology if he did something wrong, and that's really commendable. Whoops. And yeah, so it's interesting to see him. I guess take the responsibility of what he did. I mean, even though there was no way he could get away from it all. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting series of events after this, because just not to mention his I guess hoopla with Khabib and Tony Ferguson, who he'll face then, or even if he even faces them first, because he has to probably go through other people before he ever goes there. So yeah, it's not really clear where he goes from there. But on July 26th, he'll be going back, I believe. Yeah, 26th of July. Well, when they will be expected to talk about their plea deal. So yeah, and they were instructed to do so. So yeah, it's interesting to see what will happen. What will happen then? Let's yeah. So time will tell. So to switch gears a bit from all the seriousness and the controversies, let's talk about some exciting fights. I understand that you went to Brave to check out all the fighters there. Please tell me about everything that transpired there.
Basically, Brave Combat Federation, they're an organization from Bahrain. They're very fastly grown. They're owned by the Prince of Bahrain, I believe so. And basically, their vision is to uh, put on these fights for the fighters, try and help the local talent like in that specific country. And they are really focused on the fighters and making sure that they grow rather than the promotion itself. And on Saturday, it was their first time in Europe. It was their first card in Europe, and it was in Belfast, where I live. So on behalf of MMAMotion, I went and uh, covered that event with Brad, another member of our team, and it was a very well put together show. The fights were great. There were some household names such as Norman Park, um, Daggy Dalton, a local Belfast fighter who's known, and it was a great card. You know, talking about McGregor. McGregor was at the event supporting his teammate Cian Cowley, who's also standing in court with him.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, it was very interesting. So McGregor was at the event too, backstage. I got a glimpse of him.
Oh, what was that
His
like?
teammate Oh, it was crazy. It was the first time I've seen McGregor in person, like at an event. It was hectic. You know, you hear about how busy it gets with the crowds around him, but it was pretty hectic. So I was lucky to get very close to him in that event. His teammate Franz Malambo was fighting for the title too, so he was there supporting Franz. Um, so it was a great night overall. You know, the fights were great. The production was great. Couldn't say enough about Brave. It was very well done.
Oh, that's really promising. Yeah, I'll definitely follow Brave more, because I'm starting to guess broaden my scope of promotion viewership. So beyond Bellator, beyond Lion Fights, Invicta, LFA, I like to see like the more smaller promotions, because I'm exposed to a local promotion in Maryland, because one of my friends does a little bit of MMA, and he had his fights there. So yeah, I think it's called Spectacular Fights. Yeah, here in the States. So yeah, it's interesting to see how the local talent will bring to the table once they have their first steps in the local scene, and hopefully on the global stage. So yeah, I will definitely keep track of Brave and other local promotions to come. All right, so now I was looking at the speaking of promotions, I see a lot of really spectacular cards coming up in Cage Warriors, ASX TV Fights, Bama, ACB Jiu Jitsu, even and Invicta, as I mentioned, in LFA. So, oh, and one championship fights. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, you don't know what's out there until you look, and if you really look into, I guess uh, what good amount of spectacular fights are going out there, are going on there, you'll be missing out completely, and you'll never know. And you'll never know who you'll see on the global stage on larger promotions. So it's good to see a preview of what's to come. So what I see here is the Cage Warriors happening on Saturday in Antwerp, Belgium. So Boland versus Topura and it's a championship fight, so that'll be interesting in the Lotto Arena. So it's a good day for MMA. Yeah, it's a good time for MMA, especially since it's young compared to other sports. Are there any cards or from any promotions that you're looking forward to?
Um, there are a lot of great cards. One in particular is ACB 88. It's in Australia. And one of the reasons I'm interested in that before is because one of the fighters that was fighting on the Brave card in Belfast only on Saturday, Andy Young, he lost by a guillotine, and he's fighting straight again this weekend on the ACB card. So he's had within a few days, I think it was 4 days notice, he's flew from Belfast to Australia, got everything sorted, and he's back on the path for another victory. So I'm really interested to see how he gets on such a late call up, and hopefully he wins. I'm ready for him.
Sounds great. Yeah, I have to get back into jiu-jitsu. I've only been following EBI and combat jiu-jitsu, but yeah, I like to see the other fights like IB IBJJF. Yeah, just to see I guess the new up and comers that will eventually go into the world stage. Like Mackenzie Dern was highly revered in the BJJ community before she was in MMA. So yeah, I'll definitely look out for that. Now for the now I would like to, I guess, make a casual transition to an MMA thought of the day. So what I was thinking with this segment is, I guess, basically any thought or any kind of epiphany or some other third thing that is MMA related that you would like to, that is just really on your mind that you want to talk about, that you never got the chance to talk about in, I guess, other groups or unable to talk about in other groups. But one thing that I would like to talk about with as an MMA thought is where MMA can go from just promotion or global promotions. I think I would like to see MMA as either an Olympic sport or as some kind of global competition that can be done on a yearly or bi-yearly basis, where MMA promotions from all around, like Bellator, Bama, UFC, Cage Warriors, LFA, just one championship, all of them competing within each other to become representatives, and then have like a world's bracket to find out which athletes are the better. Yeah, which athletes from which promotion are the best. So it's basically something like that. It's kind of akin to esports, where because I watch a lot of League of Legends esport channels, and the way they do it is they have their own championship series in America, and then Europe and China, South Korea, Japan, and Brazil. And then after their top players reach the goal of champion, those representatives go and play in a world bracket, and they see which series, which countries rise to the top. So I would like to see that for MMA, but as like a start or as like an alternative to an Olympic event. But if not, I would like to see that as an Olympic event. At least, I mean, there's got to be something to replace wrestling since they took out wrestling, which I still can't believe they did. Because, I mean, wrestling is such a classic sport. But what a way to replace it than MMA. I mean, that's as classic to the original Greece Olympics, Roman Olympics as you can get, in my opinion. So,
Could I just make a point also?
yeah.
For you, would it be? Do you believe it should be professional MMA or amateur MMA in the Olympics?
Ooh, good question. Oh, just like with amateur boxing in the Olympics, where Shakur
Yes.
the way Shakur Stevenson from Newark, New Jersey, my hometown, is from, and
He's a great fighter.
and he's doing amazing. So yeah, I like to see his fights. Yeah, I would like to see Yeah, I think amateur MMA would be a good start. I mean, that's how boxers are. Boxers are doing it. I mean, Deontay Wilder got a bronze in the Olympics. He participated in, and he kind of took it.
Joshua too.
Yep, and he took it in as the bronze bomber. He called himself. And Yoel Romero is a silver medalist. I think Daniel Cormier is a medalist. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, as I think amateur is the way to go, just so they can I guess get in new talent to go into their respective promotions, whether it's in Beirut or Belgium, or in America with the UFC. So yeah, I think amateur is the way to go. So what's your MMA thought of the day?
Mine is basically, I believe pay-per-view model is now dead. UFC 225, it's came out over the last few days, only done 155,000 buys.
Yikes.
And yeah, yikes, exactly. Arguably the best card of the year. It could end up being on paper the best card of the year by the end of the year. And for that card to do 150,000 buys, it's incredible. You might have expected 300,000 buys, might have been low for that card.
Yeah.
It possibly could have took a tumble with the Romero and Whittaker fight being a non-title fight, but I don't know. 150,000 buys is just incredibly low for a fight card like that.
Yeah.
Pay-per-views have been gone lower and lower and lower and lower. I just think the pay-per-view model is dead. 10 years ago, that card would have done 500,000 buys easily.
Yeah.
I just think times are changing, and especially at $65 for a pay-per-view, people aren't willing to pay it.
Yeah.
People are illegal streams are all over the place now. It's so easy to watch a fight. It's just they're dying industry.
Oh, sorry, Eamon, you broke up a little bit. You said after you said if there's other alternatives to pay-per-view, could you just go back on that?
Yeah, people, online, there's so many online streams, you can watch a fight for free. It's so easy to get fight cards for free now. People aren't willing to pay the $65 for a fight card. I think pay-per-views they're just a dying industry, and I don't think businesses will take that approach for much longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, there's yeah, especially with I think that's like a consequence of the internet, and also a fact on the business side. Yeah, with the $4 billion deal with that Dana White did with I think WME. Yeah, so I think the money fight era is just going into full effect. So what I think is, so just to go on what you said, it's definitely something that either should be reworked or just removed completely. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. And it's, I mean, they could either follow football and basketball's route by just having their fights on Fox, or FS1. I mean, FS1 is doing good, and I think they had a fight night on the Fox channel. So if they kind of just follow through with that, just have these two round things. I mean, these 2-hour events, and the advantage they have over stuff like basketball and football is they have fights almost every other week. I mean, that's the one advantage they have over them. So, yeah, I mean, I think from a business perspective, maybe they just don't have the money, or there's not a lot of business incentive to do that. But yeah, I mean, time will tell. But maybe it's just a pipe dream.
Yeah, you mentioned in boxing there. With boxing, you may like there may be only like 5 pay-per-views every year, 5 or 6, probably no more than that every single year. And pay-per-views in boxing still do well. Like Joshua and Klitschko, a year or so ago, done over 1 million buys in the UK. Like that's considered incredible.
Yeah.
Pay-per-views in boxing regularly do like a couple of 100,000 buys. So I think the UFC should take the approach of making their cards less frequent and maybe only having six or so pay-per-views every year. I think that might help a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, that. Yeah, I would like to see that implemented. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Um, Anything else you'd like to add to the MMA week? Anything you're looking forward to?
Just something that's happened on Tuesday night. Greg Hardy.
Yeah.
Greg Hardy got the contract. A lot of people are very unhappy with that.
Yeah.
There was another fighter, I think it's Chris Curtis, that should have got it instead. Greg Hardy looks like a promising fighter, but I don't think he's ready for the UFC yet.
Yeah. Oh man, it's going to be. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take for him to get into the UFC, but if he does, he's going to walk on eggshells, unfortunately. Yeah. So.
I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, time will tell. Okay. Well, that's I guess that's all from me, and that's all from you, and episode 1 is in the books. Thank you for joining me, Eamonn. This was an interesting talk.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be signing off. This is our first episode. I guess it's a work in progress, but work with us. So, I'll be happy to do another of these once we get into, I guess, the summer, because of International Fight Week. Yeah, it's going to be quite spectacular in the coming months. So I'll be preparing myself for that. So thank you everybody for joining us on the MMAMotion podcast, part of MMAMotion.net, the home for MMA fanatics. Catch you next time.
You got to hold and give, but do it at